iPhone 17 Pro Max versus iPhone 14 Pro Max. Main things to anticipate. The iPhone 17 Pro Max is just round the corner, with barely 3 months and a half left till we see it announced in September. The yearly round of incremental updates will provide an enhanced periscope camera, a quicker CPU, and potentially a bigger battery, as well as a strange design modification that will undoubtedly turn attention. Does this all imply iPhone 14 Pro Max customers should feel obliged to upgrade to the impending 2025 generation of the device? Update. Both iPhones are receiving the updated iOS 26 software, new liquid glass design, and quite a few quality-of-life changes, including the ability to fight against telemarketers. Now, according to majority of the design leaks and reports, the iPhone 17 Pro Max may be receiving a rather huge camera island at the rear, substantially broader than previously and virtually spanning side to side. Aside from potentially making the phone a little top-heavy, this one will be the hallmark design piece that will separate the new handset from any prior iPhones, as well as accommodate some more technology inside, perhaps. Other than that, minimal changes will befall the design of the iPhone 17 Pro Max, which will seem fairly identical to most of its predecessors. We will be receiving the same action button and camera control that debuted with previous versions, as well as the USB-C connector at the bottom. The dynamic island notch will be making a comeback, but will supposedly grow somewhat smaller and more compact, freeing more display real estate for the user. The iPhone 14 Pro Max is likewise slimmer at 7.8mm, whereas the iPhone 17 Pro Max will most likely be a whole millimeter thicker in contrast. However, we do expect that the future iPhone will be lighter, since the iPhone 14 Pro Max touched the scales at the whopping 240 grams. While we anticipate a titanium frame to be making the rounds once again, reports indicate we could see a return of aluminum as a construction material for the outer frame. Apple may do it for cost-cutting reasons, as well as to take off some weight. Sure, outwardly it appears quite identical to just about every other iPhone Pro Max before or after it, but it has some distinct oddities. It was the final iPhone to include the usual ring switch as well as the shiny stainless steel frame that was previously associated with expensive iPhones. It's also the final iPhone Pro Max model to contain a Lightning connector, and to that, we say good riddance. With the iPhone 17 Pro Max, we're getting a bigger 6.9-inch Liquid Retina XDR OLED display with ProMotion, allowing for 1 to 120 Hz refresh rate. New here might be the OLED panel that could be used. The Samsung M14 one will not only enhance the energy efficiency of the gadget, but will also allow for a significantly greater peak brightness of about 3000 nits. That would be a pretty nice bump up from the 2000 nit display that has been employed on the iPhone 14 Pro Max. It had largely an identical screen, but with somewhat wider bezels and a little smaller 6.7-inch dimension. A considerable change may also be noticed in the dynamic island notch. Ever since the latter appeared on the iPhone 14 Pro Max, it has remained virtually the same size on the subsequent smartphones like the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the iPhone 16 Pro Max. However, with the iPhone 17 Pro Max, Apple could be making the dynamic island significantly smaller owing to relying on more compact Face ID and FaceTime camera components. When it comes to performance, we anticipate a rather big boost between the iPhone 14 Pro Max and the future iPhone 17 Pro Max. The new smartphone will be powered by none other than the Apple A19 Pro chipset, which will most surely be a 3nm chipset, but other reports indicate we could see it made on a 2nm node. In comparison, the iPhone 14 Pro Max comes with the Apple A16 Bionic, Cupertino's final 4nm mobile processor utilized on a Pro iPhone. For what it's worth, the A16 Bionic was a terrific performer in its peak, but over 3 years have gone since, and it's been very well eclipsed by all of Apple's current CPUs in terms of performance and efficiency a long time ago. Does this imply the iPhone 14 Pro Max is extremely outdated? No, of course not. It's still very competent and gives a respectable degree of performance in regular daily use circumstances, but it won't get much quicker, that's for certain. The iPhone 17 Pro Max will likely contain 12 gigs of RAM, which will form it as a highly future-proof gadget, particularly when we consider in the tasking needs of artificial intelligence. In striking contrast, the iPhone 14 Pro Max comes with considerably less than that, only 6 gigs of RAM. This obviously implies that the multitasking experience with the older handset will be nowhere as excellent as on the new iPhone 17 Pro Max. Storage-wise, the iPhone 14 Pro Max was the final Pro iPhone to have a 128 gigs version along with 256 gigs, 512 gigs, and 1 terabyte ones, since all succeeding smartphones began straight from 256 gigs, but were also expensive. We anticipate the same with the iPhone 17 Pro Max, 256 gigs basic storage and 1 terabyte maximum. iOS 26 is the largest visual revamp of Apple's mobile OS in the previous decade, and it comes with a new liquid glass look. This may either be very subtle if you remain with the normal appearance of the system, or it can be rather in your face if you opt for the new clear look that makes everything glassy and translucent. Windows Vista phoned, it wants its glass back. Apart from the style update, you receive a lot of unique and helpful additions with iOS 26. The fun ones include a new dynamic wallpaper where the clock smoothly adjusts to the available area on the wallpaper, and the full wallpaper also moves and changes for greater visibility when you get alerts. There is also new animated album art that you may view when you touch on the Now Playing menu. The beneficial features include a new simpler camera design, which conceals all modes except picture and video. No concerns here. A swipe left and right will show them. Oh yes, and Apple also addresses the Photos app mess from the previous iOS release with an easier access to your albums. But the truly useful information is in the Phone and Messages app. You receive new call screening capabilities that enables you fight off telemarketers. Pixel phones got this much earlier. This will also function in texts, screening out spammy texts. You also get a new live translate option in calls, another feature we have previously seen on Android before. Let's see how well it works on iOS, since it hasn't been a smooth ride on other phones who have included this earlier. And notably, Messages is becoming substantially better with typing indications, configurable backdrops for conversations, and the possibility to incorporate polls in your group chats. There is also a tremendous number of tiny modifications. Music, for example, is receiving lyrics translations, which is great, and Apple Maps will better learn your patterns and proactively recommend different routes when it notices there is a traffic block ahead. Sure, both phones will feature triple camera arrays at the rear, but they will be significantly different from one another. With the iPhone 17 Pro Max, we are receiving 48 megapixels sensors on all cameras, with the 5x periscope being the newest to join the high-res trend. Due to the 48 megapixels improvement, iPhone 17 Pro Max owners will likely be able to make advantage of substantially more sophisticated hybrid zoom that enables them to acquire optically clean results at greater focal lengths due to in-sensor cropping. Another update will likely be seen up front, where the 12 megapixels FaceTime camera of yesteryear is finally being upgraded. Reports indicate we'll see a 24 megapixels selfie snapper up front the iPhone 17 Pro Max. What was the camera situation with the iPhone 14 Pro Max? Well, it was the first one to arrive with a 48 megapixels primary camera, but the ultra-wide and the shorter 3x telephoto cameras depended on 12 MP sensors. Up front, we also got a 12 megapixels FaceTime camera too. A pretty great camera system in its day, but now already eclipsed by future iPhones. We could receive 8K video recording on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, an improvement above the 4K at 60fps video recording that most iPhones have enabled for a long time now. While actual battery capacities are among the final characteristics to be released, we've heard that Apple could include a battery in the region of 4,700 to 5,000 milliamps. This would easily shatter the record established by the iPhone 16 Pro Max, which presently contains the biggest battery ever mounted on an iPhone, a 4,685 milliamps unit. In contrast, the older iPhone 14 Pro Max is less spectacular here, with a 4,323 milliamps battery in tow. Coupled with the decreased efficiency of the older A16 Bionic processor, and by now likely severely deteriorated battery health of the current units, it is more than clear that the future iPhone 17 Pro Max will have much greater battery life than your iPhone 14 Pro Max. Charging-wise, The new iPhone is arriving with 27-watt wired charging, which can jump to 40 watt in some conditions, and 25-watt MagSafe 2.0 wireless charging. We have somewhat lower charging rates with the iPhone 14 Pro Max, 25-watt wired and 15-watt MagSafe wireless charging. What the new gadget could have in tow is reverse wireless charging, a first for an iPhone. Thanks to this, iPhone 17 Pro Max owners will likely be able to easily charge up their AirPods or Apple Watches. Here's how the iPhone 17 Pro Max will likely compare versus the iPhone 14 Pro Max based on our assumptions regarding the specs. The iPhone 17 Pro Max is shaping up to be a tiny evolutionary boost when compared to the iPhone 16 Pro Max, but from the viewpoint of an iPhone 14 Pro Max owner, there could be one too many exciting enhancements that might spark an upgrade. Here's what you gain if you potentially choose to get the upcoming iPhone 17 Pro Max: a larger and brighter screen, significantly better performance with much longer future-proofness, a way more capable camera, Apple Intelligence support, longer battery life, and faster charging, including reverse wireless charging and MagSafe 2.0, as well as access to the USB-C Club. All of them seem like tempting reasons to at least consider upgrading, assuming that what we anticipate from the iPhone 17 Pro Max turns out to be true. So, if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more exciting tech news and updates. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.